So there's lots and lots of reviews coming out about the AMD Radeon RX 9070 XT video card. This is one of these reviews, and I will link you to this one. And this is the one that I'm basing this video on. A very interesting, long article here with a bunch of comments at the end. So be sure to go over here and check it out. But I'm going to sum it up and let you know the lowdown on this new card, which a lot of people have high hopes for. So this video card is going to compete directly with the Nvidia RTX 5070 Ti, and a lot of people are very excited about that because hopefully you'll be able to pick up one of these video cards for much less than a 5070 Ti, because we all know how expensive pretty much all of these RTX 50 series video cards end up being. MSRPs mean nothing. Retail costs, a lot of times, people buy them up. They don't use them for their own use. Instead, they buy them up, scalpers, and sell them for higher prices. Let's dive into how well this card does against the 5070 Ti. So in rasterized gaming performance, the 9070 XT generally trails the 5070 Ti by a small margin, around 6% at 1440p, but closes the gap to within 1% at 4K. So, that's not bad. Not bad at all. And to be honest, maybe with driver tweaks and some other tweaks, you might get closer even at 1440p. Now, when it comes to ray tracing, the 9070 XT shows significant improvement over previous AMD generations, but still falls behind the 5070 Ti. At 1440p, the 9070 XT is 21% slower in ray traced workloads, and this gap widens to 25% at 4K. So let's just really quickly here go through some of these results. Keep in mind that the RX 9070 XT is in orange. And as I'm going through this, you can also note the other video cards that are above and below it. In some cases, it is a little surprising. For example, it does very well in Marvel Rivals compared, let's say, to a 4080. That's a pretty, fast video card. Still trails behind, though, in a lot of cases here, or the ones that I've seen so far, still trails behind the RX 7900 XTX video card. That's a monster of a video card as well. But yeah, overall, it's doing very well. Stalker 2, not so well in that game, trailing behind even the RX 7900 XT. It's in the middle here. And these are 1440p and then 4K. 4K with this video card, this is middle of the road video card. So if you're thinking about buying this for 4K, it's not going to perform very well. You need to go top tier. And that means, unfortunately, right now, Nvidia, either a 4090 or a 5090, and God help you there because they are so expensive. Counter-Strike performance here, not so good. God of War, really good, actually. Performance here is very good. Delta Force, in the middle. 4K performance, though, is actually impressive. So yeah, it's doing pretty well. Middle of the road, a little bit better in most of these games. So this is a worthy video card, really. It's doing overall reasonably well. So I think if you're interested in a middle-of-the-road video card that won't break the bank, and I don't really know how much these are going to be time we see them in retailers, and the availability, the stock on them, and so on and so forth. So all that is something, I guess, that we will have to give over to time and see actually what happens. But again, I will link you to this article so you can go over here and actually check it out. So as we've seen, this is a very capable card. So I think what will be the determining factor is pricing and availability. Now, I'm going to be going through the MSRP for these video cards. However, as we all know, in 2025, MSRP means next to nothing because time it gets to the retailer and they price it, and maybe then scalpers get a hold of the cards and then they price it, like, for example, on eBay. So a card, for example, like this card is supposedly $600 US MSRP, might be $1,200 or $2,500, right? You get my point. But anyway, let's go through this. So AMD's 9070 XT will have an MSRP of $600, and the Nvidia RTX 5070 Ti will have an MSRP of $750 US. So that is, in a perfect world, $150 cheaper than the 5070. And that's substantial. However, the way things are today, that is not going to be the case because it depends on, again, pricing and availability. So if people really, really, really want to have a 5070 and there is no availability, then the prices for these cards are going to skyrocket. So it's not going to be $750. It might be $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000. You don't know. I mean, I did a video a while back where an RTX 5090 was listed on eBay for $15,000 Canadian. That's crazy. So, inflated pricing. And a similar thing could happen to AMD's video cards, especially this one, the RX 9070 XT. While the MSRP is $600, it might be much, much more expensive. However, I think that the AMD video cards will be less overall. How much less? I don't know, but they will be less than the Nvidia video cards because the demand is higher for Nvidia video cards at the moment. That could change too. Now, something else that you really should take into consideration is the fact that Nvidia is having terrible issues with the RTX 50 series video cards, namely melting cables, missing RLPs, and as well all kinds of driver issues. So there is that. Now, I have said this before and I will mention it again. Don't be an early adopter. Don't be an early adopter. Give it some time, at least 6 months. See how it all turns out. Because if you are an early adopter, you will get the first batch. And generally speaking, when it comes to technology at least, not always, but generally speaking, the first batch of anything, I don't care what it is, has issues. That's why we have things called revisions. So give it some time. Have some patience. Give it a few months at least and see how it all turns out. Now, I'd love to hear your input on this, and if you have any thoughts, more information, or details about the AMD RX 9070 XT, let us know.